Hello, everyone. This is Joanna Pawlowski from The Accountable Mindset. And today we have our monthly live event where I invite one of the Accountable Mindset group members, to share with us some of the tricks, tips, hacks that they have used to achieve the success. And today, Richard Aylward is with me here. And he is a business owner and a property investor. And it's absolutely fantastic to have him here and have him with me. And he's going to share with us a bit about some of the incredible goals he has achieved recently. And some of you might have read about it in the group. So I'm going to hand straight over to him and ask him to tell us a bit more about himself.
Thanks, Joanna. Okay, well, my early life was probably like most of yours. All I wanted to do was enjoy it, and so that's what I did. I joined the army, where I had a really good time for 16 years or so, and then I realised that actually I was missing my family growing up, so I left the army and had to get a job. And that's the point at which I realised that actually this was it for the rest of my life until I retired. It didn't fit well with me, shall we say, and so it was my first real turning point. Previously, things had always come easy to me. I wanted to do something, I did it. So this was quite a hard point, and I had to realise that I needed to change. So I went back to school and spent 4 years getting qualifications, which got me my next job, which moved myself up the ladder. And I enjoyed the job. In fact, I've enjoyed all my jobs. They just don't pay enough. And at the same time, I realised I wanted to own my own business. So I started looking at all sorts of opportunities. You know the sort, work 2 minutes for every century and earn £1 million. Most of them won't work. But eventually I found property, and that's me now. My kids have grown and left, and we live happily, and life is pretty good.
Okay. So it sounds really interesting, because it sounds like you have started twice in terms of careers, and now you have refocused again, and it's focusing on property.
Yes, so it's the third time, really. My starting point was really in the late 90s. I attended a property seminar by Russ Whitney, where I discovered that you didn't actually need to be rich to own property, which was previously my belief. I also learnt about gifted deposits, which was a thing then. It's not so much now, but that's how I started my property portfolio, if you like. I only played at building it, though. The interest rates were still quite high, and the profit each month wasn't a lot. So I sold more. I bought and sold and flipped a lot more than I should have done, and only held 1 or 2. But I did learn, and I spent a lot of the profits on holidays and motorbikes and things like that. But that happens. And then I also learnt about how what motivates people. I bought from a divorced couple, where I had to speak to each of them separately. One of them wouldn't go to the house, and then I bought another lady who was going into a home. And really interesting learning, and those are other stories, of course, but learning how people become motivated. And I realised this was really a good opportunity. And around about 2015, I think, I came to the conclusion that I really didn't like my job anymore, finally, and I got myself a coach. She made me realise that I actually didn't need the job anymore, because I had enough residual income from the property that I could leave it. So I did, and I left in mid-2016. Best decision in my life ever, but apart, of course, from proposing to my now wife. She can't hear me.
She's just around the corner.
I didn't really do much initially, but doing nothing really doesn't work for me. So I started designing some products to sell on Amazon. That shop recently it went live realistically a couple of months ago, but I sold my first product on it this last Monday. So,
oh, congratulations! Because that's already quite a progress since we spoke last time.
Yeah, it is. Because I was still working with the SEO work and getting the storefront up, etc. It's difficult. It's easy to sell on Amazon if you can get the visibility, but you need to get up there. So anyway, I'm beginning to get on that one. But I then later last year, I got to the point where I needed to up my game a bit, I felt, and I came across Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and I immediately knew this guy was going to help me. I signed up before he'd even finished his presentation, and he runs a program for a year-long program on mindset, and I'm very happy with what he's taught me. I learned the importance of goal setting, making them actually barely achievable, not making them easily achievable because you won't push yourself, but not making them so there's no way you can make them. They've got to be just about achievable. One of mine was to purchase 4 properties this year. I completed on my first property on the 9th of this month. I've agreed the completion of 2 flats through a deed of trust, which I will sign this Saturday, and they'll be mine. And I've had accepted another offer on a property which we have started. We've made we've got solicitors going and the mortgages off for another HMO in Swindon, which should complete before the end of August, so that we can save 1% of the stamp duty.
Yes.
So yeah, I've made that's one of my big goals, and I'm 5 months ahead of the game.
Yes. And congratulations. This is absolutely fantastic. Do you have any suggestions or hacks, anything you can share with people in terms of what has really made the difference for you in terms of achieving those goals with so much time still to spare for the year?
Okay, well, one advantage I now have, of course, is time, because I don't have a job to go to. But that doesn't make any difference, actually. And I can't say I've really got hacks, but what I can tell you is that you've got to gain the knowledge. If you're going to enter into an area of business, you need to learn about it. Now, you can learn a lot of it online, I accept, but there's nothing like speaking to other people. You don't need to go and sign up for a £10,000 course with one of the property gurus if you're going to, if properties your game or whatever. But you do need to network with other people who are like-minded, and you can find them on Facebook, you can find them on LinkedIn, and you can join them all over the place. It's easy to do, and these people will give you really help transform your property. But if I said if you're going to start your own property, I would say the important things are you've just got to work at it, actually. It's going to be, I was going to tell you, if you're going to start your own business, it's going to be far harder than you anticipate. It's going to take you longer to get where you want than you anticipate. You need to put in the hours and never give up. You just have to keep going and always follow up. Remember, no only means no now, not later. When you're about to finish for the day, make that one more call, make one more order, or whatever you need, just one more, and then the compound effect will make that a massive difference over time. And if you do all that, you absolutely will succeed, and you absolutely will achieve your dreams, no problem. But you've got to commit to the work. This last year, I've got into routines. It's very drudgery almost. I get up at 5 in the morning, I do my journaling, I've got my goals for the day, I go to bed at 9 and spend that last hour going through the goals I've got to do for the following day and confirm that I've achieved goals for the day correctly. I have an accountability partner to make sure I'm keeping to that, and I keep them accountable too. And these things really work. You just need to just keep going. And I also read every morning for half an hour, 40 minutes. There's a lot of good books out there. Tiny Habits, Big Leap, the 10X Rule. I read a couple of books a month, which is a lot for me. I know people who read 2 or 3 a week, but I couldn't do that. I expected to have to do it on Audible and do it. You can use Audible when you're commuting to work, when you're going for your morning run, if that's what you do, or you're going to the gym. So you can get through a lot more that way. But I don't like Audible. I prefer actually reading it, because sometimes I want to go back over the paragraph 2 or 3 times. And I think that's, you've got to be committed though. If you're not committed, you won't get there. If you just think, well, yeah, I just want some more money, that would be great. What for? You need to say, right, I want a specific amount of money, and what do you want to do with it? And you need to visualize it. And that's how you get there. So what is your vision? What drives you? Well, that's another issue, you see, because if you've got no big goal that you've got to achieve, you see, when I first started this course with Ben Hardy, I realized that if nothing happened over the year and I didn't achieve my goals, so what? I could still survive. I get a pension now. I've got property, so I'd just be in the same place as I was before. So I had to give myself a big goal, and I have, and I committed to it by offering a certain finance to my family, my children, or their children, and they're very happy with that, and they're very pleased. And so now I've got to step up. I'm now at a chance where, in the position where I can manage one of my grandchildren. I'm paying for their schooling, private schooling, but I've got 2 grandchildren at the moment, a 3rd one any day now, and a 4th one late next year, I believe. Oh, amazing. Growing family. I've said 4 is the limit, and they've agreed. Right. Is this where you set your financial goals? Yeah. Well, it's quite an expensive business, but it's really made me step up, and and that's what drives me every morning. I know what I've got to get to. I know where I've got to be, and a part of doing it from your goals, you reverse engineer it and say, well, this is what I need. Then how am I going to get that? How am I going to start that journey now? And a coach or mentor makes a massive difference. And after my year with Ben Hardy, that won't be enough. I'm going to need to go on, so I'll be looking for another coach, and actually looking at her now. That's thank you. Thank you very much for that. What I wanted to ask you is, so you had one coach, you said, in 2015 who helped you look at your financial situation and help you realize that actually where you were. And obviously now you're working with a different coach. How would you say working with them has been supporting you in different ways in terms of moving you towards your goals? The coach I got in 2015, I was in a very different place. I had a job. I wasn't considering what my goals were completely different. I just wanted to understand what I could do. I didn't know. I was floating around a bit aimlessly. I needed some direction, and that's what she gave me, or she made me give myself, because ever like that. And when I realised that actually I didn't need it, well, I did need a little bit more money, but I got round that by converting my garage to offices and renting that out to a friend of mine who's still there now. So I've got an IT business in my garden, which is very handy. Yes, that's very interesting. It's a collaboration, not just adding income from rental, is it? Yes. That's very interesting. Yeah. So then when I was looking. I signed up with Ben Hardy. I'd already realised that I'd been out of work, out of employment for a few years. I was moving forward, but slowly, and it wasn't fast enough. And the older you get, the faster you have to work. Because, yes. You think, well, I could have done this when I was younger, but I was too busy gallivanting around and having a good time. Yes. So I don't regret any of it, but I'm really enjoying my life now. Yes. I enjoy all the extra work. It's motivating actually in itself.
Absolutely. And I was also interested in something you said earlier about networking, because I know not everyone is comfortable with networking or really knows how to get the best out of networking. And clearly this has worked really well for you when it comes to property, certainly. So are there any tips you can give people what successful networking looks like and how to go about it?
Well, yes, okay. Well, networking is vitally important, and over the last 15 months, actually, it's been a lot easier for people who aren't really comfortable with talking to strangers. Basically, I used to go to property networks in places, and you just got to walk up to people and say, "Hey, I'm such and such. This is what I do. Who are you?" And then they're the same. And actually, all you got to do is realise everybody's in the same boat. There's one or two people who are really out there, not a problem, but you're almost in the same boat. And over these last 15 months, it's been so much easier because you can do it virtually, which means you can stay at home where you're comfortable. Of course, you save the travelling costs, but you can look at from the screen, and so you don't actually have to be there face to face with them, and it's a little easier. But it is important, and one of the other things I would say are the 3 goals I have each day to do. Sometimes it's only 1 or 2, if it depends how big they are. I always do the biggest one, the hardest one first. Now, the hardest one may not seem that difficult, but it may be the one I fear most. Because if you fear doing something like, I've got to talk to my boss because I do need a raise or he's giving me too much work, the longer you leave it, you'll just talk yourself out of it. You'll find a reason for not going and seeing him. So do it first thing. The first one to do is the one, or you fear that, I'm going to do it now. Before you can talk yourself out of it, because otherwise that's what you'll do.
And I think this is what can happen quite easily, and effectively that's procrastination, right? When we choose to do something that's not what we should be doing in an ideal case, that's supposed to go. So I think that's probably the perfect recipe, is not think about it, just go for it. Just like you say, whatever appears the most challenging, difficult, or where there's like maybe a bit of internal resistance.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, in my younger days, procrastination was probably my middle name.
Really?
I was pretty terrible. If I couldn't do something first time, then I wouldn't do it. I'd just walk away. I was very good at hiding my failures, so people didn't notice that. That's no, I could do something else. I was also quite lucky in that most things I tried I could do fairly reasonably first time, so I could then work on it. But if I couldn't do it at all, I'd forget it. But now I'm completely different. If I can't do it, that's something I'm going to sort out. I'm going to resolve that issue. So I'll work at it until I get there. But, it is important. Procrastination is an issue, and I don't envy anyone with it. I think most of us have it in one way or another. But, try to find ways of overcoming it. The book Tiny Habits by, I can't remember, Fogg. Somebody, that will help on procrastination.
Yep, I'll add it to the video for reference. Yeah, it's a great recommendation. And I mean, these days, especially in property, a lot of people say, oh, the market is not good. There's so much competition from owners, occupiers, and because of that, the prices have shot up. So how will I ever find a good deal, let alone, a motivated seller? What would you recommend, how people can go about it, and what the mindset is that would be helpful?
Well, they say the best time to buy a property is 20 years ago, and the next best time is now, which is true. It doesn't matter. Property isn't a short-term gain. Now, if you want to do it short-term and roll them over, that's fine, but the real money is made by keeping them long-term. So you buy a property. And I have no intention to sell any of my property now. I did all that when I was younger, which I shouldn't have done. I see the prices of them now and wish I had them still, of course. Yeah, just keep the property, and you don't have the issue. So if you're going to buy a property and you think now is not the right time, if you said that 15 months ago, you'd have been wrong. And even if you bought just before the stamp duty holiday, you would still have made money by now because of the way they've gone up. I've had property that I bought I bought a house in 2008, just on the dip. Luckily, I negotiated quite a good price, so it didn't quite go into negative equity. But I didn't buy it, but it didn't bother me. People told me I'd lost money, but I hadn't, because I still got the house, and it was paying for itself through rental income. You don't need to worry about when to get in the market. You just got to decide to get into the market. Now, early this year, I was running around Swindon, looking at property, viewing properties. Just looking at them online is good enough. You've got to get out there. You've got to meet the agents. You've got to get out to the agents. You've got to speak to them. Make sure they know you're in their list, give them the area, what you're looking for, etc., etc. I found my first property because I went to see an HMO, house of multiple occupation, and I thought, great. And I got home and the agent phoned me and said, sorry, it's gone already. But fortunately, it was the right move, because he told me that this landlady had a few properties she was selling. And on Rightmove, they give you the seller's name and contact details, which other agents don't do. And so I contacted her and found out that she did have another property for sale. It wouldn't be ready for until later in the year, towards now. And I said, no, okay. And I phoned her up about 6 weeks later and said, oh, how is it going? And she'd found a reason why to sell the property now. She was helping her daughter buy a house, and she wanted to get it completed before the first stamp duty holiday ended. And so she offered me that house. And so I bought it and we completed. She had to take a small bridge out to cover the 9 days that we ran over. But fine. And because I kept her informed of everything that was going on, how it was going, she said, well, actually, I've got another house. And so I said, I'll take it. I couldn't actually afford it because 25% is a lot to put down, but I have a limited company for property with a business partner. It's the guy in my garage. And so I said, yeah, I'll take it. And I asked him, did he want to buy another property for our limited company? And he said, sure. So I only have to find half the money. And we'll complete that by the end of August, hopefully. And yeah, so you can find them. One way I do it is I've had some flyers made up. They're very cheap to make up.
Great. That looks good.
And A5, it's glossy. So they're always in my car, and when I'm driving along, if I see a house, I'll stop and I'll just chuck it through the letterbox. Usually I'm looking for empty houses, or houses that look in disrepair, or they could be occupied, but they're obviously not looked after, or there's a bus stop right outside the door, or something that makes it, there's a shop next door, next door's got building work all over the place. And these sort of properties. There's lots of ways to buy property as well with no money down.
Yes.
Easily. So if people were interested in that, it's easy to investigate. I can give more information if they want later. If anybody wants to ask, I'm happy to give them.
Perfect.
So property is available. Would I buy another property now if I had the funds? Absolutely. Yeah, because okay, the properties may drop over the next year, but I'm paying a mortgage, which is half of the income, the rental income. So no problem.
Right. So you are investing, if I understand correctly, for the long term. Therefore, as long as the numbers stack, due diligence works out, you will continue buying. Is this correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
My aim within the limited company is to buy one a year now for the next 5 years. We've got 3 in there now, and it starts to become self-financing. We don't take any money out of it, or it all just is reinvested within the same company. for him, it's his pension, and for me, it's my to leave as an inheritance.
I understand. And with obviously being so far in having made such inroads into your goals, achieving your goals for the year, are you planning to revise them up, or is this are you going to be focusing more on your Amazon shop?
Well, I do need to concentrate on the Amazon shop, and I also need to concentrate on my other goal, which is a website search engine.
Mm-hmm.
But I've thought about this quite a bit just recently, because I now know I'm going to complete my goals by within 6 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I could say, well, I'll buy another property, but that's not realistic. I'd have to use investor finance, or do a rent-to-rent, or some other way of doing it, so I wouldn't have to put any money into it. Mm-hmm. Because the other money I have, I want for other investments. So I'm looking at an alternative, another project to start, which is I've started writing a book. So
okay.
I'll try and build up on that side of it.
Fantastic.
I'm writing 2 books actually, because I can't make my mind up which one to do. So when I get bored with one, I do the other.
Are you going to share what the title is going to be, or is it?
There isn't any title yet. Well, one of them's about driving. Actually, it is about the roads and the laws and how people perceive. That's more fun. The other one we'll leave at the moment.
Okay. Fantastic. So a lot of projects for you ahead. So thank you so much for joining today. I think everything you've shared has been really fascinating in terms of how you approach business, how you approach property and building your portfolio, and your reason why. So the very last question I want to ask you is, can you share something that nobody knows about you with us?
Well, if I do, of course, then it would be a lie, because you'd know about it. I don't know. What don't people know about me? I don't know. In fact, I can tell you, I've already told you, because I never told anybody else. I never mentioned this before.
Oh, really?
Yes. The fact that I used to procrastinate and not do what I found hard. I've never actually said that before at all. So that is the only something I used to do, which I never told anybody, and nobody would notice because I was good at disguising it, which we all are good at disguising our own failures. It's something we get very early on.
And I think so. Thank you so much for sharing this. And I think the amazing takeaway for me is that, whatever weakness someone might have in the course of time, it might be actually transformed into the opposite, which I think you're the best example of, based on everything you've said today. So thank you so much. I think that's really inspirational. And I hope I'm wishing you all the best with the acquisition of all the other properties, the Amazon shop, and of course the books. And I look forward to hearing more what you're going to be up to in the future.
Of course, I'll keep you informed. Cheers. Fantastic. Cheers, Joanna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thanks, everyone.